Alright everyone, the other day we got an astonishing revelation, which is that both Kamala Harris and Tim Walz claim to be gun owners. Whether this is true or not remains to be seen. It's entirely possible that it's basically just fluff. They should be challenged on it. What specific kind of gun do you own? If I had to guess, Tim Walz would probably choose like a Fudds shotgun, and Kamala Harris would choose like a Fudds handgun. Like something 100 years old or something like that. I don't think that either of them could hit the broadside of a barn. I can see Tim Walz bird hunting, like Dick Cheney mode, but I can't see Kamala Harris ever having fired a firearm. The fact is that there are different kinds of firearms. Here's where the Second Amendment comes in. What we've got is this fixation on certain types of weapons being illegal, being unacceptable. From certain politicians. Others are like, well, the NFA should go the way of the dinosaur. I happen to agree with them. So it's not about, and sometimes it's not about the gun itself. It's about like attachments, like magazines, suppressors, things of that nature. Of course, if you suppress a rifle, you'll probably prevent hearing damage. It's probably a good idea. But in some states, suppressors are heavily regulated. I think you still have to get a tax stamp to get one at all. And there's a little bit of a weight involved with getting a registry for that as well. There are some people that don't even want, like, basic bitch Glock handguns to be legal. Oh my god, 15 rounds? Why do you need 15 rounds? Isn't 5 enough? Yeah, your 6-shot revolver would get banned really quickly. These are Fudds that we're dealing with. And we're not even sure that they're Fudds. Of course, they could be lying. We're not sure that they actually own firearms at all. We're also not sure if you own a firearm, you've ever even utilized one. I can't see Kamala Harris going to the range. I can't really imagine Kamala Harris going hunting. I can't really imagine Kamala Harris doing jack shit. The fact is that the people around her with guns, she doesn't want to ban them from owning firearms. No, the police that guard her, you know, when she goes from place to place, many of them have actual assault weapons. Like, we're not talking, you know, the civilian variety. We're talking actual select fire assault weapons, literal assault weapons, which is literally what that means. Of course, I own an AR-15. In the state of Vermont, I can only have 10-round mags for it. You can stack green tips and shit like that, so it's still definitely useful, but, you know, it's not the same as what they use in the military. It's just not. They're not the same thing. They're not the same species of animal. Tim Walz, I can imagine, he probably has gone hunting and stuff like that. At the very least, he probably understands how to use a firearm, but I'm finding it real goddamn difficult to believe that Kamala Harris is intelligent enough to operate one. Like, if I handed her my top brake, I don't think she would know how to actually load it. If you handed her a Glock, she probably wouldn't know how to disengage the magazine, fill it, load it, actually chamber around and begin using it. She's too stupid. I wouldn't trust her with a firearm, honestly. Like, imagine, you know, Kamala's under attack, Secret Service agent dies, she grabs a gun, the other agent's like, no, don't touch that, you're going to hurt yourself, basically. You're going to blow your own hand off. She's that stupid. She's just completely retarded. Walz, at the very least, I can see him going birding with Dick Cheney. The fact is, though, that there are a couple of Fudds. Because when they say, well, I own a gun, you know, so I know about gun rights and stuff like that. They're not talking about modern weapons. They're talking about old bolt actions, which sometimes hit way harder than an AR-15, by the way, will hit, and revolvers and shotguns and stuff like that. They're talking about 100-year-old weapons. They don't want to ban those, at least not yet. They want to ban the other ones, the modern ones first, then work their way back. And this has been their plan for decades. This is where the NFA begins. They've already taken out, for example, the Tommy gun, and which you could literally mail order back before the NFA, quite literally, along with, you know, the 50-round drums and shit like that. You could order assault weapons, literal assault weapons. They were available prior to the ban. These were available to civilians. Magically, by the way, the crime rate wasn't sky high, actually. People tended to leave one another alone because it's like, well, if I break into your house, am I facing a Tommy gun, or am I facing a fully automatic M16, I don't exactly know, so maybe I want to not rob your house. And so crime was actually lower at the time. It's like when people talk about the Wild West, other than territorial law. The Wild West was a wild place. It was filled with Injuns, and it was filled with buffalo and bears and shit like that. And desperados. Supposedly bandits were everywhere. Everyone wanted to kill you. That's funny because the crime rate was actually lower because everyone was armed all the fucking time. So they left each other alone. Partially out of necessity. Of course, if you're in a settlement town, you kind of got to stick together and not raise trouble. You might get hanged if you raise trouble, or just stabbed to death or something. Or if the settlement breaks down, you might get raided by the Comanches or something like that. Under times of stress, people pull together more, admittedly, so that's part of it as well. And now they're Fudds. They don't know anything about actual firearms. Tim Walz might know how to load a revolver or something like that, and Kamala, I mean, she'd probably, the chain cylinder would be on the floor pretty quickly. You really think that she would understand any form of weapon? I'm surprised she can even write, actually, to tell the truth. She's not unintelligent in the academic sense. She's just fucking stupid, if that makes any sense. Have you ever met somebody who's highly intelligent, but they're also a fucking dumbass in some way or another? I'm getting a look over there. Yes, that's Kamala in a nutshell. Academically trained? Yes. Would she know how to change the wiper fluid in her car? Probably not. Would she understand how to operate a revolver? I'm guessing probably no. She's the sort of person who is academically skilled and otherwise completely incompetent. Doesn't have any real skills at all. Like in the zombie apocalypse or something, she'd starve to death because she wouldn't know how to grow her leeks. She certainly wouldn't know how to fend off the zombies. She'd be hitting him with a broom or something like that. They're Fudds. They don't know anything about guns. They're trying to be relatable. Kamala should not even bother trying to be relatable at this point. Trot Walz out and have him do it. At the very least, he's more coherent. I mean, again, it's a very, very low bar that we're talking about, but better than Kamala Harris. If anything, Walz should be the goddamn presidential candidate and she should be the running mate. It would make more sense. He'd probably actually get a good chance of winning. But they're not willing to do that because, haha, at this point it's too late. Biden decided to quit too late, and so they have no choice but to go with Kamala, which is why they're wagon circling. Now they're talking about the guns that they own. Yeah, Kamala's going to come out there with an AK-47. That makes a whole lot of sense. That's about all. Peace out.